Hello and welcome to another episode of Between the Covers. Before who am I? My name is Daniela Blacknell. I'm an author, book journey mentor, founder of a company called Conscious Dreams Publishing. For having this bookshelf out here are just some of the 200 plus books that we've published over the last 6 years. I'm absolutely passionate about providing a platform for unseen, unheard authors to have their voices heard and stories shared. What is this show all about? What's going on? So this show is really getting up close and personal with authors. Whether they're published via Conscious Dreams Publishing or whether they self-published or published through any other means, to find out really what goes on behind the creation of a book, looking at the author journey from writing to publishing to post-publishing, promotion and marketing. So often we look at a book and we think, oh, that's lovely, that was a good read, but we have no concept of what is going on behind the scenes of publishing that book. So my awesome and amazing guest that I'm going to introduce right now is Annette Austin. Not only is she the author of 6 novels, yes, you heard that, 6 novels, including the historical fiction novel, The Fall of the House of James, as well as her recent crime fiction novel, The Devil Within, which I have just finished. My gosh. She has also written romance novels too. So I really want to get up close and personal and really figure out how easy or difficult it was to really diversify between those completely different genres. So if you're watching, tap the screen, show us some love, let us know where you're watching from, and please show Annette some love as she comes into the broadcast. Hello.
Hello.
Hi Annette, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, thank you. How are you, Danny?
I'm good, thank you. So you are, I was reading up on your bio, you are the author of 6 novels, one of which has 214, yes, you heard it, 214 reviews. We'll get to that in a bit. So obviously you dedicated, you're very dedicated to your craft. Yeah. Did you always see yourself as an author? Have you always loved writing?
Yes, I have. From an early age, I probably gained my love of writing from school. When I was around about 7, I was asked to write a story and I ended up writing reams and reams. And from there, I just really loved to create different stories. And I also had a love of reading. I used to read a lot when I was younger. And I think that festered my love for writing as well.
Also, what sort of, because I think we would have been quite good friends at school because I absolutely loved writing as well. I remember being asked to write a short story. Everyone wrote like a page and I wrote pages and pages and pages.
That was me. Yeah, that was me. I always wrote 15 pages when about 2 or 3 would have done, but yeah, that was me.
Exactly, because we're writers. But I mean, you say you love reading. What does there like a specific genre of books that you like reading as a kid?
No, I just used to read probably what we call now young adult fiction. So stuff from Paula Danziger and Rosa Guy. Those are the 2 that I can remember reading back in those days. So really, it was just those kind of books that kind of helped me grow my love of reading, really.
Amazing, thank you. So tell us about your sort of journey into writing. What kind of was that instant that made you think, I'm going to write a book and this is what it's going to be about?
It probably was around December 2012. And I know this sounds kind of Hollywood-ish, but I had a dream. And when I woke up, I came up with the concept for The Fall of the House of James, which it was going to be a slavery book set in the Deep South in around about 1860, just before the Civil War starts, in the fictional town of Havers End. And it was going to be primarily about the James family, with a patriarch called, hopefully it's a patriarch, called Edward James, who runs a slave plantation and has a son called Lawrence, who is against slavery. And it's about kind of the tussles that they have. And obviously, the main story is when Lawrence falls for a slave, and her name's Jasmine Thomas, and it's kind of about their tempestuous relationship, and also about the struggles and the harsh reality of being a slave on a plantation during that time. So it's not just a love story, it's also showing the historical elements of what slavery meant and what people had to go through and had to endure, and the brutality of it as well.
I was going to say that's a really tough book to write, and did a lot of research go into that, and how did that feel? Writing a love story in between the brutality.
There was a lot of research, so the book didn't get published until June 2018, so it was over 5 years. And in between that, I did do a lot of research. In order to write it well, you have to do a lot of research. You have to read a lot of books, read a lot of articles, and find out a lot of information. And to my shame, I didn't know much about slavery until I wrote the books. And so it was kind of a learning experience for me also to find out all the different machinations and everything else that went on during slavery and how awful it was for so many people. So it was tough to write it, no question.
Do you have a copy of the book with you now? And how many? I know it's a series. How many in that series?
Well, this is a copy of the book that I have to hand, and it's called The Fall of the House of James.
Hold it up. See? There we go.
Wish I could take acknowledgement for the cover, but that was the work of someone very close to me, my sister. So she did that, not me.
Oh,
and yeah, if I don't give a shout out to her, she won't be too happy. I don't think.
Does she have an illustrator name that you want to give?
We will call her Lorraine Austin.
I like that.
That's her illustrator name. And this is the novel. There's another 4 after this. So this is the first one, for House of James. After that, there is Always a Slave, Slave's Vow, Betrayal of Love, and Between Love and War.
Wow.
And the next one is going to be called The Taste of Revenge. And I'm hoping to start writing that in August of this year.
I mean, these books, I've started the first book, and these books are doing really well, and you've got like a huge following. One of your books, I think it was the first book, has got 214 reviews. Like, how did you build this fan base, and how did you get these reviews? Because reviews are something that authors often forget to ask or forget to get.
It does take a long time, so I don't want anyone who's an author to think, gee whiz, I can get that amount of reviews just straight away. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. It took me probably 4 months before I got my first review, and that was the book had been on sale for 4 months before I got the first one. The way I did it was to ask the followers of my newsletter. So I have a loyal band of followers of my novels, and I asked them politely, and you should always ask politely, and not be too pushy, if they would like to review the novel. And I got a few people who were willing to do that. And then after that, it was still a bit of a struggle until I read an article, I think by a gentleman called by the name of Dave Chesson, who is a quite famous person in the self-publishing world. He writes a lot of articles, lots of books about self-publishing. And in one of his articles, he advised that if you write a note at the back asking people to give you a review along with a little link to a review to Amazon, then that will help get more reviews of your novel. And I was just like, okay, let's give it that a try. And when I put it on the back of, I think it was Betrayal of Love, the reviews and the ratings just shot up.
The back of the sort of the inside cover of actually inside the book at the back.
Yeah, at the back, when you finish, like where you put all your notes from the author and your book titles and all that.
Yeah.
You put that just before the end. And so since then, the ratings have been pretty good. So
wow,
I wish I could take credit for it, but that was but I just put it on the back of each book that you publish. That's my little note of advice to any authors out there.
That's amazing. So ask politely, first of all, have a newsletter. We can ask your base to leave a review, but also to have something written inside the book asking for a review. I like that idea. I've not heard that.
Yeah, ask for the review and then just put a link. It should be readily available where they can do the review straight to Amazon, and then that's
amazing.
it. Really.
And that works really well in Kindle as well, because obviously it's a hyperlink. All they need to do is actually click on and it takes them right there, as opposed to having it in a paperback book.
That it should work that way. Yeah, hopefully.
hopefully just go back and check. Love it. So it's such an amazing thing to have 214 reviews on one book. It's fantastic.
That might be in the UK. I think in America it's a little bit more, but
it's more authors hearing it here for the first time. A little tip there from someone who's got over 200 book reviews. That's amazing.
Just one book. I'd just like to say
that's on just one book. She has 6 books. So tell us a little bit then about, you've gone from a historical, fiction novel to writing a thriller, basically a crime fiction. How is it sort of changing genres? Because they're very different books, aren't they?
Yeah, it wasn't. It's not easy to do it. I thought it'd be a lot easier than it turned out, and it does take a lot to change your mindset, because I'm going from a historical fiction novel writing to modern fiction, and so you got to remember that you can use mobile phones and turn on the light switch, and there's cars, and it's not carts or stagecoaches. So you have to remember all of that, and also just that it's probably best to try and read up as many thrillers as you can, so that you know what genre, what the trend is in the genre at the time as well. So yeah, it wasn't that easy, but after a while, I tried to write 2 at the same time. So I tried to write, I think at the time, Between Love and War and The Devil Within at the same time. Then I decided, look, you can't do that. It's too much. Concentrate on one. So I finished Between Love and War. Then I went and did The Devil Within and just wrote that. And then it was just a lot easier after that.
Focusing on one book at a time. That is it.
One book at a time, focusing on the genre.
Especially when they're like 2 completely different genres as well. That must be really difficult to switch your mindset in between both.
It was difficult. So it was just better to just concentrate on one, and then it just made it much easier, rather than trying to multitask. I know most women multitask very well, but I didn't do it on this particular day.
So once you kind of like decided to focus on that one book, The Devil Within, well, first of all, tell people what is it about, without obviously giving it away.
Okay, so The Devil Within is about a serial killer who is stalking a particular a fictional part of New York, and there is a Lieutenant Ophelia Hanson who is on the case, and she's trying to figure out who the serial killer is, because the serial killer is killing off criminals who kind of gotten away with their crimes. So he's kind of like a vigilante serial killer, and she's trying to figure out who it is, but she's got her own demons that she's trying to face, and as the case goes on, she's getting more and more drawn towards a person who may or may not be connected to the case. So then it becomes a lot more complicated.
And how you've got a lot of characters in this, but it's like an ensemble cast as opposed to a one set point of view, or even a dual point of view. Tell us, how easy, I mean, did you sometimes get a little bit confused about who your characters were? I mean, how did you find that, going from writing from one point of view narrative to then writing lots of different characters? Because I know that's something I definitely wouldn't be able to do. So you've done it really, really well. Did you find it difficult to kind of switch from one to another?
Not really, because I kind of did it in the James saga quite often. So you might have a chapter or a part where it's Lawrence's point of view, and then you might have another where it was Edward's point of view. So I didn't find it all that difficult to do insofar as that it is a lot of different characters. So it did take a while to make sure that I stuck within what that character would do and what another character would do. But yeah, it's if I tend to have something called a character profile.
Yeah.
So I will write down each character, what they're actively doing within the novel, so that I know what their characteristics are, what their mannerisms are, what they've done within the novel, what they're going to be doing within the novel. So it makes it easier for me to follow which character is which.
Yeah, that's something that I'm fascinated with, actually, because we spoke about that before, sort of having character profiles. There's a comment here. Having character profiles, and also things like remembering what they look like, what colour eyes. And I know that copy editors do that specifically. They'll read through manuscripts to make sure that the eye colour doesn't change, or suddenly they've got a different habit to the one they had at the beginning of the novel. So I think that's a really key tip then you've given about having character profiles for your...
I think it's imperative, especially if you're doing a series of novels, because you are not going to remember all of the characteristics of a character, especially after you've written 4 or 5 novels. You're just going to, it's like, which one has got blue eyes, which one's got brown, and which one, talks a certain way, and which one, is more calmer and rational than the other. So it is a good idea to just write down, the name, the close confidants, their friends, what they look like, what their mannerisms are, what their temperament's like, and just little sentences. It doesn't need to be a massive...
You can have them like bordered around. You see those detective series, and you have like the different characters on the wall and sellotape. That I can imagine your house.
Yes, well, maybe not like that. No, I just have it on a Word document. I'm sorry, I'm not that fancy. I'm sorry.
Fine. We have a comment here from Red Oxdale who says, "Do you have plans to write in other genres?"
Oh, thank you for the question. At the moment, probably not. No, it's probably going to be romance, modern romance, and possibly thrillers, but maybe a sweet romance, possibly, because that seems to be the in thing now.
A sweet romance.
Yeah. Ooh. So I might do that. I've already written sci-fi, as you know.
I do. We can get to that. Yes.
Yeah. So that leads us into it.
Another part. Go on.
As Daniela knows, I have written a short story, 2 short stories, which were published by Flame Tree Publishing, who Daniela knows, and they are in these different anthologies, which I'm trying to find. That one is Hidden Realms.
Oh, hold that right up there. Beautiful. How beautiful that book is.
It is beautiful design. They design beautiful book covers, I must say. And that is, this one is The Well of Life.
That's it.
One. And this one is Alternate History. And that is, in this one is The Bondage Tribe.
That was it. So we actually interviewed Nick from Flame Tree. Was it last year? It must have been last year. Yeah. So we met him at London Book Fair, and he produces these beautiful anthologies here, as Annette said, and he was looking for authors to obviously have their work submitted, and there was a massive competition, and you submitted 2 of your stories, and they got into each one. But you said you haven't written short stories before. So before I go to the other questions, how you've done crime fiction, you've done historical fiction, you've done romance, and now you kind of delve into sci-fi fantasy. Yeah. Can you just give us a sense of, like, first of all, what they're about and how you found that process?
Insofar as which one? All of them, or
just one of them? The Well of Life. The Well of Life.
The Well of Life. Okay, The Well of Life is about 2 astronauts who crash land on a planet One of the astronaut is black, the other one is white, and they encounter some alien life form that they didn't know existed on the planet, and the aliens help them to rebuild their ship because the ship is destroyed. While they're on the planet, they find out that there is a well of life which will give the people on the planet, gives them eternal life. But if a human drinks from the planet, from the well, then it can have catastrophic consequences. So the dilemma is whether or not the humans will then drink from the well, which we kind of know where it's going to lead to. So,
well, we're not giving anything away. They're going to have to read the story. And I love the way that you're kind of able to just, you're a absolutely beautiful writer. Your writing is, and your language and how you storytell is just phenomenal. So I'm not surprised both of them got chosen. But it's just the way you wrote it just completely captivated me. But you say so much in such a short space of time. You know, I think what was the criteria? Was it a couple of thousand words to tell your story about being in a hidden realm?
Yeah, I think it's 3,000 if I remember.
So I think it's about 3,000, yeah, minimum, maximum, okay. Or 4,000. I can't remember, but it's a short story.
Yeah, it was.
So I think it takes a real skill to be able to tell a story and be so descriptive in such a short space of time. So congratulations to you in 2 of these books, which you can get at all good retailers. But I'll go over to www.flametreepublishing.com. So Annette,
and Amazon as well.
And Amazon as well. I've got some more questions here for you.
Okay.
Reluxo again says, have you ever started writing a story only to see your idea in another book, TV, or film?
Oh, wow.
This could be a sensitive one.
Yeah. I can't ever remember that happening, but that would be very, very annoying. I've read it. I've done it recently. I read a book, and the line that I wrote in the novel that I'm writing next was in it, and I was like, "How's that possible?" Yeah. I thought that was a really good line, so I went and changed the line so it's not the same. So that's happened, but I can't remember writing. No, I can't remember that ever happening. So far, touch wood.
Touch wood. They say that no idea is completely original. All those kind of ideas are out there in the consciousness, but it's how it's done, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, there's always going to be storylines that are going to be similar to yours, or storylines that have been done already, but you just have to find a way to modify it and make it your own and make it different in some way or shape or form. But yeah, it's very hard for it not to overlap. Just make sure that it's not the same, because you can get yourself in a lot of trouble for that.
Do your research. Yes. I've got another question here. Are there any genres that you'd never write? Comedy?
How many would I never write? Goodness me, that's a hard question.
You're quite open-minded then about your genres.
I'm quite open-minded. I don't think there's not a genre that I would never write in. Maybe chick lit. I don't think I could write chick lit, or maybe kind of literary kind of novels. I don't think I could do, because I think it takes a kind of different type of writer to write those. I don't think I could do those.
You're definitely fiction, aren't you, as opposed to like non-fiction?
More like a popular fiction. And non-fiction I'd probably struggle with as well. So maybe those genres that I can think of off the top of my head.
So what is next for you, Annette? Are you writing another book at the moment? Are you writing another 3 books at the moment? What's happening? What are you doing?
At the moment, I've just about finished writing my 7th novel, To Sleep with a Stranger, and that is due hopefully to come up at the end of this month, hopefully.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been a long old slog, but hopefully it will be out by then. It is a modern romance, contemporary romance.
Yep.
And it's about a mid-30s Black woman by the name of Roberta Clark who is kind of bored in a relationship with her boyfriend, Emmanuel Sinclair. And she meets one night this handsome Scottish man called Dylan Alexander. And he's kind of different from Emmanuel. He's kind of charismatic, he's fun, he's caring, he's unpredictable. And she starts to, after a one night stand, she kind of wants to stay away from him but can't, and then they start an affair. But Dylan has a big secret, and so does Roberta.
Another secret. I can say anything about a devil within. Wow. And where can people get this book?
Well, once it's released, it's going to go on Amazon. But I'm going to try, and I know some people already said, I'm going to try and put it in more than one format. So hopefully we'll be first in EPUB, then hopefully paperback, and then hardcover, hopefully.
Amazing. Well, we definitely need to talk. So you can do that. I'm going to post a link now to all of Annette's books so far. You can get a copy of Annette's books it's literally in the link if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Facebook. Click on that and you can see the link to all of her books. Absolutely amazing. And there's soon to be a 7th book on there. So just to talk about the process a little bit, because you obviously published these books yourself, self-published, and you've learned as you went along. How easy, what was your process and how easy or difficult was it when you published your first book?
When I published my first book, it was fairly difficult because it took over 5 years. So it was pretty rough because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of writing, rewriting, reading lots and lots of different blog posts, which sometimes kind of made it worse, not better.
Yeah.
Because saying, oh, I should be doing it this way. No, you're doing it wrong. Do it this way. And
like a minefield, isn't it?
Yeah, so it ended up taking forever, and then there was other personal issues that were going on, which made the book take even longer than what it should have taken. And so, yeah, in the end, I finally managed to publish it, but it was tough. There's lots of confidence, there's procrastination, illness as well, so that it took a lot longer than what I first thought. And yeah, there is so much information. Sometimes it can kind of cloud your mind, and you're so busy thinking you should do it one way, and then you think, no, I should do it another way. And in the end, you just got to forget about all the different blog posts and just concentrate on writing it and get on with it, and not worry about whether it's right or wrong. If it sounds good to you, then just go for it and just write it.
And that is a powerful tip. That, funny enough, that was actually what my next question to you was. Can you give any aspiring authors out there 3 tips? I mean, the first one, I guess, was, don't worry about whether it's right or wrong, and to just go for it. What other 2 tips would you give authors?
To expect it to be a long road. It's not going to be easy. It's never easy to write a novel. It's never easy to be a success firsthand. You only have to look at all the different authors and how long it took them. Stephen King, J.K. Rowling, so many other authors. It took them years and years and years before they became famous or made any money, real money from it. So you have to be there for the long haul, really, and just understand that it's going to be a very long process, and to really believe in yourself and just, believe in what you're doing, and try to surround yourself with positive people who will support you in that goal, and know that you are as good as what you think you are.
Amazing. Thank you. You heard it here first. They're really important. I mean, especially when you're writing fiction. I think non-fiction is slightly different. But fiction it's a lot, isn't it? You've got to think about the characters, the pacing, the style, just all of it. And then if you're writing a series, you've got to think about the vision of how the rest of the books are going to be as well. So I think, yeah, you're right. I think it's important to be realistic about the time frame in which you're going to be able to write that. Did you find that once you've done your first book, everything was a little bit quicker in terms of the process of publishing, self-publishing, once you kind of got your head around how to do it the first time?
It's a lot easier once you do it first time around. There's a lot of hidden fears. Like my first fear was whether anyone's going to buy it and whether anyone is going to give me a review at all.
So you got over 240 or whatever on one book.
So that's the first fear. And then once you realize, yes, there's people out there who like your book and think you're talented and think you're good at what you do, then after a while, it's just not so hard. It's still hard. It's always hard to write a novel, and it's always hard to progress. But it does get easier once you write the first one. Once you write the first one, then you know, okay, I know what I'm doing. Now I can write the next one and the third one and the fourth one and the fifth one. And hopefully over time, I think, not trying to blow my own trumpet, that I've become a better writer by writing one book and then the next book and the next book, because you learn as you go along and you get better at what you do by writing more and more. You should, and I think I have gotten better with each novel.
Amazing, thank you. And yeah, where can people connect with you? How can people find you? Where can people find out more about what you're doing?
Okay, so I have an email, which is I'm trying to remember it. Annie Austin, and sorry, no, wrong. Anne.Austin586@gmail.com. If anyone wants to obviously join the newsletter, I have a newsletter as well. I have a loyal band of readers who I send out the newsletter to every single month, and it has I send out all the details as to what I'm working on next, little different links and articles that I pick up, and all sorts of different things I send to them on a regular basis. Or if you want to connect with me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is @Annette91329398.
Oh, I managed to get that. Okay, so I've got your website here as well, which I've thrown up. It is www.annieaustin.com, and then we have the website email, can't speak today, anne.austin586@gmail.com. Twitter handles up there as well. Do connect with Annette, find out what's going on. I'm sure she's happy to tweet some some writing tips as well, but really just to find out about her next books, when they're coming out, because you are just churning these books out now. I'm trying to catch up. I've read I'm about two and a half of your books so far. So yeah, I need to.
That's good. I'm glad.
I need to get up to the 7th.
Yes, that would be nice.
Annette, it's been beautiful talking with you today. I just want to say thank you so much. And is this your first interview? Is it?
This is my first face-to-face interview.
Oh, yes. First.
Can't even
get it out.
Hopefully the first of many. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Thank you. See, it's like when you do your first one, everything spirals from there. Like when you do your first book, everything becomes easier. So I wish you all the best. Many more interviews. Hopefully we'll see you out there on the big screens talking about your book. So. You don't have time to talk to me. Workshop there, which is going to be offering tips to self-published authors, how to self-publish your book. Get down there and join us at 7 p.m. next week to find out more about it. Have an awesome evening, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.